Hello, this is Frank Falvey with Frank Presents, and in our continuing series of interviewing candidates for the November 7th town election, Steve Sherlock with Franklin Matters, myself, Frank Falvey. Our next candidate is Cobi Frongillo. Cobi, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Cobi and I have an interesting relationship. I used to square dance with his grandparents.
Yes.
And his grandmother owned the little shop.
The little white dress shop? Or?
Yeah, the little white dress shop down by where the railroad tracks are in the...
in the crossing?
The crossing
area? The mill building.
Sure.
The mill building, yeah. Cobi, you grew up here in Franklin, but tell us a little about yourself.
Well, as you heard, I not only grew up here, but my dad grew up here, which is why you know my grandparents. Third generation in Franklin. My family, they were West Enders, so immigrated from Italy to the West End of Boston. They were forced out of the West End, spent a little time in Mattapan, and were able to find a home in the 60s, I believe 1962, in Franklin on Coronation Drive. My dad grew up here his whole life. I grew up in the same house that I'm currently living in 140 Maple Street, and I've just loved this community and everything that it's given to me. I went to Franklin High School, graduated in 2015, went off to college at UMass Amherst, where I studied policy, political science, economics, got my master's in public policy, ended up finding a job in Rentham pretty randomly related to my policy interests. And, I sort of naturally start paying attention to whatever community I'm in, and so it was great to be back in Franklin, and I was paying attention and getting more and more involved when someone stepped down from the town council, former Councillor McCarthy Earls, and there was an opening, and there seemed to be this opportunity to engage a newly excited population of Franklin that hadn't traditionally been involved in local government. And so can we get all these people that are often for the first time stepping out in the wake of the murder of George Floyd on Facebook pages. Sort of in COVID, there was this resurgence of let's talk about the impact that we can have in our community. But I wasn't hearing that being tied to local government. And so that was really what that first election was about in 2020. And I haven't looked back. When I got elected in 2020, I have absolutely fallen in love with the work. It's the most rewarding thing that I do. It is exciting, it's challenging, it forces me to use a whole bunch of different skills, and I really feel like we're making progress. Like we're sort of, as I've been saying, righting the ship that Franklin was headed on and is now headed on, and we have some more work to do, so I'm excited to run for re-election and hopefully make a little more progress in the right direction.
Great.
You've tapped into that passion and the section of the community, and one of the key aspects I think that you help them take action with, and you can elaborate a little bit more on the right of everybody, the ability and almost the requirement that we should be active voters on a regular basis. At least voting. Whether how much more else you get engaged, that's another story, but at least by voting.
Absolutely. The previous special election, right? I got elected in a special election. The previous special election, I had like a few hundred people turn out.
Yeah.
And so that was key, right? And we knew that we wanted to run a campaign that was somewhat unlike a town council campaign that Franklin had seen, in that we were really going out and knocking on people's doors, or at least in COVID, just dropping letters in their doorway, minimizing face-to-face as we could, but showing up to community events, showing up online, and using social media as a tool to connect with more people, and phone calling and reminding people that it was time to vote. And we had a whole bunch of high schoolers and college kids that were helping us do exactly that, get more people to care about voting in their local elections. And I think it was successful. I mean, the voter turnout on the first one was historic levels for a special election. And then last election 2 years ago was a massive uptick from where the previous town council elections have been. I vote in every election. I think it's important that we all do. It's really not that many voters, and so your vote matters that much more. And certainly, if that vote comes along with reminding a few other people to vote as well. So yeah, still trying. I have another team that's part of our mission is to talk about some of the values that I care about, but most of our mission is just to get people to know that there's an election and to care about that election, and help ensure that the council reflects their values.
Mm-hmm. So we'll follow and go back on a little bit in your background in terms of your public policy, MBA, et cetera. And what are those skills that you bring to the table now in your role that you're looking forward to in terms of the new term on a council?
Yeah, I think I have a few unique things, and this is not to take away from any of my colleagues who I enjoy working with. Part is that policy background, right? I'm the only one who studied what are the considerations when you enact a policy. Are we thinking through equity? Are we thinking through efficiency? How do we do a cost-benefit analysis that appropriately takes into all considerations? And it's what I do in my career outside, is how do we balance the interests of a lot of different people? How do we ensure that a decision makes sense not only for now, but for years in the future? And so trying to bring that lens and mindset, I think, is something that I contribute to the team. The other is I have time and energy and interest in showing up, and I see engagement not only as being available to be connected with, but actually showing up and trying to meet people where they are. So showing up to community events and setting up tables. I've done coffee shops and farmers market and the Strawberry Stroll and Harvest Festival, as well as showing up to different community organizations, the Rod and Gun Club, Pancake Breakfast, and the Rail Trail Committee that I am happy to be president of. I think all of that comes with engagement, including social media. Right now, you know, I think I have an ability and an understanding and a familiarity with social media that allows me to connect more readily on that platform. So the policy background and the community engagement background, I think, are some of the things that I get to add to the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And without leading you, because clearly I know for those who haven't been aware, we've already collaborated on, I think it was 8 podcasts around the zoning changes, et cetera. One key aspect of that is kind of new growth, and in your position, certainly you're going to be getting another budget, and the budget forecast for the next several years doesn't look so rosy. So your explanation to the voters and the residents as to what your priority adjustments are going to be is certainly going to be critical. You want to expand on what we need to do to avoid some of those bad days potentially that are coming at us?
Sure, yeah. I think that there's a temptation to be overly negative, and I am certainly going to get to the point of here's where we need to improve. We're also very, very lucky to be in a community that offers great services with the amount of funds that we have. I love this community. I'm proud of us. I mean, we're one of the only fire departments in the state to receive the top recognition. Our police accreditation puts us into a top small percent of police services in the state. Our DPW director, which I very much give as a team award, was recognized as one of the top public works directors in the entire country. Our sports, you know, almost every year we win the Dalton Award for having the best overall record across all varsity. You know, time and time again, we do so much, and there's a lot to be proud of. But yeah, we have financial struggles and constraints, and we know that our schools, they asked for a few $1 million more than we were able to get them, and that's only going to get harder as we put that forecast out. We know that our public works, they just presented to us over the next 5 years the needs for our roads and sewer and water, somewhere between 120 and 190 million over the next 5 years of money that we don't have. We know that we're not fully staffed. The police department every year comes back to us and tells us that they're forcing overtime onto people because which costs the taxpayers money because they're not fully staffed to where they need to be. We know that we still have to ask other towns around us for our ambulance because the fire department isn't fully staffed to where we want it to be. So there are a lot of different places that we have needs. I think that there's always going to be a need to think critically, think innovatively about how we can get more out of every dollar. But it's getting very hard to do that. We are continuing to look around every corner. We've done great to squeeze the most out of every dollar. But at some point, and the term that I've used in meetings is the pot's not big enough to provide the services that we all want to enjoy. And so then you have two other levers, right? So if sort of being more efficient in how we provide services is one of those levers, the two other levers are choosing to contribute more. And that is through the form of an override, which I think is going to be a question in the very, very near term, or choosing to develop in a way that we get more property value, we get more return on each additional investment. And that's really where that zoning conversation, I think one of the pieces that a lot of my colleagues or even people in town tend to forget is they think of those first two budget levers where, all right, are we increasing taxes? Are we cutting back services? But there's this other lever of can we grow in a responsible way that doesn't further add to our expenses but allows us to get new growth and allows us to retain the type of community that we want to. And that takes proactive rules around how we can develop as a community, and that most often comes in the form of zoning.
And the zoning discussions clearly, from my own learning experience, having sat through and facilitated those 8 discussions, they can be challenging because it's terminology, it's somewhat arcane, some people get sleepy on it, but to your point, it is critical in terms of enabling the right growth for the right reasons.
Right. I mean, key to all of this is we love the current community, right? We all chose to live in this community because it's a place that we love and that we wanted to, work and raise a family and play and enjoy our time. And so change is scary. Any change is scary to that. And so the quote that I've taken is, no town is exempt from change, but at the same time, no town should experience, or neighborhood should experience, radical change. And so how can we not just say no to everything, but say, what is the vision that we're comfortable with, that we think moves us toward a more desirable community, as opposed to just shutting down everything and freezing everything in amber, and where we struggle to keep up with the services that we also all want to enjoy.
Cobi, one of the things that the town of Franklin has benefited from is its agreements with the local electric supplier. And we have probably the lowest electric rates in households and for the town than any other community, maybe in Massachusetts. And a lot of your work it revolves around power, right, and electricity?
My career, yeah.
Your career.
Yeah.
And in the legislation, with Jeff Roy's help, passed, he's the chair of the Energy Committee.
Yeah.
And passed, as I understand, bills to bring power from the ocean to the Cape and convert it. But it seems like all sorts of economic reasons have interfered with that. Can you bring us up on what's happening to the town rate? And how is that power part of our future in helping the town or hindering the town?
Sure, yeah. So for those that don't know, I work for the Energy Committee at the state legislature, currently under the leadership of Chair Roy, and I have for the past few years. And in his last session, which is a 2-year session, Massachusetts passed 2 major landmark climate bills that were about spurring this energy transition. And key to that is generating local clean electricity, and the biggest resource that we have is offshore wind. We have a rare combination of shallow waters close to shore with really high wind speeds that allow us, as the representative points out, to be the Saudi Arabia of wind. We have more technical wind. Our potential wind energy is greater than any other state, not only per capita, but period. And so that's one of the major things that we've been able to tap into, because right now our system is very, very reliant on natural gas, and natural gas fluctuates with global circumstances. And so when the war of Ukraine, right, when a tyrant chose to take over a nation next to him, that impacted your energy bill. When COVID impacted supply chains globally, that impacted your energy bill. And so a lot of it is about how can we be in control of our own power here locally. How does that relate to municipal aggregation program? So again, my background's in energy policy. I wrote my master's capstone on municipal energy aggregation programs in Massachusetts. And you're exactly right. What we've done as a town on behalf of our residents is say, your individual purchase power is only so strong. But if we as a collective work together and say, what's the best rate that you can give us, electricity suppliers, then we have been able to find a rate that's less than the default rate of the local utility. And so when prices fluctuated all the way up, I don't know if you know, but your energy bills, most of your energy bills weren't hit that hard, but your neighbors were paying 30 plus cents per kilowatt hour, while you were still locked in on a 10.75 per kilowatt hour. Now that contract just ran up. Energy supplies are certainly higher than they were when we first negotiated that contract, but we were still just able to secure, and we'll be starting in November, a new energy contract that not only is expected to be less than the utility, is stable, and that's a key part where, as things fluctuate, we'll know exactly what to expect through 2025. And so hopefully by 2025, the investments that we're making at the state level in local clean energy supply will allow us to continue to bring down those electricity prices for decades to come. Yeah.
Let me ask this question. At the Best Western, some families have moved in there, and they'll be there maybe for quite a while. What do you see as the best way of having those families become residents of Franklin? How could we create housing? How could we create other jobs or job opportunities so that those residents could move from the Best Western and become residents of Franklin? First of all, do you favor that? And second of all, have you thought much of how the town council should respond to that population?
Yeah, I love the way that you framed it, which was starting from the place that we've seen most of our neighbors framing it, of an opportunity to help people in need and provide some of what we get to enjoy locally to people who need it, as well as their ability to contribute to what makes Franklin great. I think that comes in a few different forms. You named a few things. Most immediately, how can we help? Well, we have incredible organizations that are working together and coordinating. The Safe Coalition, the Food Pantry, Franklin Area Moms, the Neighbor Brigade, Interfaith Coalition have all been working together to get
Can I
needs
stop you
immediately.
there for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
You belong and are on the board of directors of an organization that can help,
Yes.
GATRA.
All right. I'm on two that could help. One actively is helping, but yes.
Okay. I went to the senior center to make a donation to GATRA charges $2
Yeah.
for every ride,
Yeah.
right? I went to the senior center to make a donation to help pay the $2. They couldn't help. They called GATRA. GATRA couldn't help because it could have nothing to do with it. and I haven't heard back from the town of Franklin. I think two things. One, if GATRA at some point could provide on some daily or day of the week basis a ride between GATRA in places where people can buy food. And secondly, I think they should be able to set up a way of someone like me that wants to make a donation to help pay for the rides.
I love both the ideas, and I'm gonna separate both the short term and long term things with a quick aside. So a quick aside on GATRA reimbursements, while not necessarily related to the migrant situation at hand, I did advocate for the first time for us to internalize and expand the reimbursements for GATRA rides to and from the senior center, as well as for the first time this year, reimbursements for GATRA rides to and from the Franklin Food Pantry. So anyone going to the senior center, anyone going to the food pantry, any Franklin residents using either of those services, that will be covered by the Franklin town budget, which I think was a really important investment and offers some insight into some possible opportunities to help other populations.
That currently is in the Franklin town budget?
Currently is, yeah. If you put in the GATRA, get me to the senior center, you should see that it's free to you. It's not actually free from GATRA's point of view. It means that that's being covered by your local government. Yeah.
I don't think anyone knows that.
Well, I'm happy to share it here, and it's good feedback that we need to share that a little more.
Can
I
you
do think
make
it's a good
sure
opportunity.
the senior center and the food pantry, and what was the other place you could go?
Those are the two. Those are the two. Yeah.
Are aware.
Leadership is certainly aware,
Can you give
but
them
maybe we need
pamphlets to hand out or something?
we had a pamphlet when it
Or
was
give it to
first
the
enacted,
hotel?
but I think we could use a new pamphlet.
Okay.
But yeah, these are all great short-term opportunities, right? How can we most immediately help them become integrated? Certainly, there are restrictions around their ability, and I want to be clear. These are not only migrants from abroad, but also many people living here in Massachusetts for a long time that are without homes for a variety of reasons. So both of those populations are currently
Probably
residing.
half the population currently is native Massachusetts.
That's our sense. Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers, but it's a combination of both. And so how do we help? I mean, these are people, trying to raise themselves out of very, very difficult situations. We talked about, are there immediate opportunities for us to help? Transportation, basic resources, schools, connection, other things. Then there's the longer term needs of how do we build a community that just allows people at different places in life to better enjoy all that Franklin has to offer. And that's where I come back to zoning and development, and how do we design a community that where we don't, maybe it's a more steady bus route between things, or maybe it's building new housing near some of the basic commercial needs and other civic needs that don't require car ownership. And so different conversations about that. How do we both provide more homes, but make sure that those homes are available to people at different stages of life is some of the longer term conversations that we're trying to answer while helping the most immediate need. It's difficult. It's difficult, as well as advocating for the state and federal government we're happy to be welcoming and provide, but it still does cost us money, and it's things that we hadn't already baked into our budget, and so making sure that we're still continuing to advocate for as much help as we can.
And what's the other organization that you're...
Yeah, so I'm both on the board of directors at GATRA. I'm on the GATRA advisory board, and I'm on the board of directors at the SAFE Coalition. SAFE Coalition does a lot of the local work around substance abuse, domestic violence, and end up playing this role of what services aren't being provided and trying to cover there. They have been absolutely incredible. They've grown tremendously. They're receiving not only recognition around the state, but national recognition for the really important and really human-to-human level work that they do. I'm incredibly proud to have joined that board and help them continue to expand their services to the region.
Well, the final question. What's the question I haven't asked you that you'd just like to expand on?
Yeah, I do. This came to me recently. I had the opportunity to speak with Congresswoman Cori Bush. I went to a national conference of electeds, and she really hammered home that you can't fight for a community that you don't first love. And that clicked in my mind. I really, really love this community. Every day I'm inspired by how many people are looking out for their neighbors, giving back, contributing in any way that they can to the collective, vibrancy and generosity of the community. So I would just name that I'm incredibly honored to have been able to serve over the past 3 years and look forward to the opportunity to serving even more. And the only other thing I would point out, and if you're able to add this to any of the sort of below my name, I'm happy. You can reach out to me whenever. C. Frongillo at franklinma.gov and 774-571-1303, 774-571-1303. That'll go straight to me. I'm happy to talk to anyone. If I can't talk to you right away, we'll set up a time to connect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Frongillo. I would encourage people that watch this program and watch you to, in their hearts, that really love Franklin, to step forward and offer their expertise. Because there's many people here in Franklin that really could help the community, help the community grow. And I'm sure you will always find your colleagues in the town and everyone to be helpful in answering and promoting and fostering people to be part of the community, like Steve is.
Like Steve.
Like Steve.
Like Steve. Be like Steve,
He wants to,
and we'll be okay.
retire secondly from his second job.
So he can do more, More
Steve,
Steves, and we'll have a good
Thank
town.
you for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
my pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Cobi.
Thank you both for your service.
Yeah, we'll see you all November 7th. I think you were going to say that.
I was.
October
Go ahead.
24th.
Go ahead.
I'll let you do the final work, but November 7th, October 24th, we'll see you at the polls.
And each one of us would enjoy if you came up and said hello to us, and give us your opinion about something. We'd appreciate it. And so this is Frank Falvey on behalf of Mr. Frongillo, Steve Sherlock, and Frank Falvey, wishing you health and happiness and the love of Franklin that we all share.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.